The Hemp Wizard signature series artists are Walking Corpse Syndrome, So High, Black Sasquatch, Fester, You can give your beard the magic touch by going to hempwizard.net today and rock out with your... Just kidding.
Last chance for the Steelers. Bradshaw trying to get away. And his pass is broken up by Tatum. Tipped off. Franco Harris has it. And he's over. What? Franco Harris grabbed the ball on a deflection. 5 seconds to go. He grabbed it with 5 seconds to go and scored.
Let's watch this again.
1,000,000 to 1 odds on this one.
Ricochet out there off of Jack Tatum and into the man of the year, Franco Harris's hands.
Here's the miracle of all miracles.
From out of nowhere came Franco Harris, riding a white stallion, heading up Franco's Italian army, and galloping off into the sunset.
It's hot out there, so let's blow them off the line of scrimmage.
Divine is the kingdom and the power and the glory.
Let's get this right. Good morning and welcome to the Sunday Audible show live from the Sunday Audible studios on this Sunday, January the 15th in the year of our Lord 2023. And of course, welcome to our Super Wildcard weekend show. And I am looking forward to another great day of football. We had 2 games yesterday. We'll get into both of them. One semi-decent game and the other one a really good football game. So we'll get into both of them when John joins me in a few minutes. We'll be without Jeff today. He's working. So it'll be John and I for about an hour. We'll go through the games today, some topics of the day, and we'll have some fun along the way. Before I forget, let me just jot down a note here. Sorry, just got to think about next week's show. The Jags just had the Chargers yesterday. All right, hold on a second. Matt Stafford. 62 mil. Okay. Sorry, guys. So anyway, thanks. This is a couple of the best weekends you're ever going to have. Lots of standalone football games. Usually weekends, you get some coverage. You don't get enough. Even if you have Red Zone or you have the package, you can't watch every game. Well, this is a weekend, next couple, where you can watch multiple games, as many as you want. I watched part of the first game yesterday, Niners and the Seahawks, and a good bit of last night's game, the second game, Chargers and the Jags. Again, I'll hold our commentary until John pops up. But and then today you got Dolphins, 1 p.m. I think that's a NBC game. Hold on a second. What games are what today? Hold on a second, folks. You got the Dolphins at 1. Let's see. Should know this off the top of my head. Let's see. 1 p.m. on CBS. You got the 4:25 game Giants and the Vikings. And tonight, again, I think NBC again. We're looking at Ravens, Bills, on Sunday night. And, of course, the Monday night game, Cowboys and the Bucks, which is an interesting one for me. So, anyway, we got plenty to get to. I'm glad you guys took a few minutes to join us this morning. So, without further ado, I think my partner in crime, who is dressed in his glorious blue uniforms. I'll add Johnny to that. He's the top dog at RFO Records, and my buddy and a closet Giant fan, Mr. John Mahefka. What's up, Johnny boy?
Tommy.
Super Wild Card Weekend. Johnny boy, Super Wild Card Weekend. I think as you're wearing your Carl Banks jersey, if I got it right. I see the 8.
Oh, yeah. Got it.
Yeah, man. It's representing in the old school Giants back to the 80s Giants, which John is a big fan of. So, Johnny, how's it going? How's your week? A lot of good football the last couple weekends.
It's been good, Tommy. I mean, that game last night really shocked me. I was ready to shut it off. It was one of those things where there's no way these guys are coming back. It was a total beat down in that first half.
Yeah, it's funny. I had watched a good part of the first game, and then when it got out of hand, I shut it off. And then my wife was kind of, let's watch a movie. And I said, all right, I'll watch I'll miss a little bit of the second game, and I wound up not getting to the second game until about just before halftime. Thank you, honey. My wife's bringing me some breakfast. I gotta eat on my diet. Anyway,
necessary, man. Necessary.
Yeah. So anyway, what's his name? So I got to it just before the half. It was 27-0. I was debating whether to watch it or not. And I'm glad I stuck with it because it was I can't say it was a good football game because I thought the Chargers just kind of went to sleep.
They did.
I thought the Chargers went to sleep. I didn't think they made any adjustments or did anything to get themselves back in the game. And you got to kind of point to Brandon Staley and say he's just not done a good job.
Yeah, I looked at it the same way, Tommy. I mean, I know that the first half went really well, but there's still things you need to do to make adjustments. Yeah. And I think that whatever he said to those guys in that locker room, I hope he remembers that, and I hope the whole coaching staff and team remember that. Just to say, please don't ever say this again.
Yeah.
Or if they made any adjustments, don't make those adjustments again, because it was really it was a total letdown. It was sloppy. It was mental errors too. Bosa going off multiple times.
Well, Bosa going offside, but even the 15-yard penalty was big.
Right.
Slamming his helmet on the field.
Right.
I mean that's yeah. You're a veteran guy. You're a leader on that team. Obviously, you can't do that. You just can't. I don't care. And I tell you the truth, I did not think the guy was offsides. And if it was, it definitely wasn't egregious because that was his complaint.
I agree. If you look at the angle that they showed, I think they used a red line for that at the time. But I mean, the center, if Bosa was offsides, the center had the ball placed about as far up as you possibly could. Yeah, and that's what it looked like to me. It was really. I'd have to say that's probably the worst officiated game I've seen, probably all season. Very sloppy.
Yeah, I mean, there was a missed pass interference or illegal contact penalty on one of the charges in the end zone that didn't get called. It was real late. Right. I think it was on Jones. But here's the other thing I'll take out of that game, Johnny. And we got about an hour, so I want to get into yesterday's games a little bit, then I want to talk about today's games. But what I thought was a mistake, and it went well, so you can't second guess it. But I did not like Peterson's decision to go for 2 when they scored. It was 26-30, and he was trying to make it a 2-point game. I understand that you're kind of going conservative, but you have to put yourself in position at that point, thinking that you might not get the ball right back and you might not get a full length of the field score, that you might have to take a field goal. Had they not got that 2-pointer, now it's 2 touchdowns you need instead of a touchdown and an extra point and a field goal.
Right, I agree. I wasn't thrilled with that call either. I mean, I was amazed that he did that.
I was shocked.
Yeah, you want to go, kick the extra point, be down 3. And really, if it wasn't for the sloppy play of the Chargers, I mean, a missed field goal again.
Yeah.
At the end, I mean, which is basically a chip shot.
Yeah.
I don't understand that either, Tommy. I mean, it's just, I guess that's why we're not NFL coaches, but
I get, he'll get applauded today, but at the moment, I thought that was a bad call because, if there's 10, 12 minutes left, I kind of get it. I kind of get it. I still don't like it, but I kind of get it. because you might get 2 more possessions. But there was, I think, under 4 minutes left. And you got to kind of assume you were going to get the ball back once with maybe not that much time left. So now if you had missed it, you got to go down the field and you need enough time to score a touchdown, let alone, instead of, hey, we only got to go about up, lost John. So, but to my point, I just don't think I would have done that. But, again, I'm not an NFL head coach, and that's why I do this on Sundays and not every day of the week. We'll wait for Johnny to pop back up, and it's on the Audible, live from Hunter's Sunday Audible Studios right here for Super Wildcard Weekend. Couple good games last night, and we're going to talk about all the games today as soon as John pops back up. Sorry, folks, I'm on a bit of a diet. I got to eat properly. There he is. Johnny, we got to get you some better Wi-Fi today.
I don't know what happened today, Tommy.
Yeah, so
total drop right there.
Well, again, Peterson's going to get applauded for the gutsy. People are going to call it gutsy. People are going to call it great coaching. They're going to call it a million things. I think it was a bad call. It worked out, which is always counter argument to me. But I think it's a bad move at that spot in the game.
Agree.
Let's move on. The Niners-Seahawks game wasn't much of a game. I'll give Geno Smith credit. I'm interested to see next year, but it looks like Geno Smith's finally figured out how to be an NFL quarterback.
I agree. I mean, he made a lot of good throws in that game, and those guys were way more competitive than I thought they'd be in that first half.
Yeah.
I mean, you come into that environment, against a team that, they were really expected not even to have a chance in that game. And for them to play that well in the beginning, I do. I give kudos to Geno Smith and that team for playing that strong in the first half. Just the second half, I just think they were overpowered by a better defense and a lot more weapons.
Yeah. Well, I have to tell you what, I wasn't overly impressed with the defense. I just thought they had too many weapons for that Seahawks defense. And I want to give Pete Carroll credit. I hate Pete Carroll with all passion. I really do. I've always hated Pete Carroll.
Right.
I just back to his coach when he coached the Jets, all of that, all those times. But I'll give him credit. I thought for sure when they got rid of Russell Wilson that this was a tanking season, and he did anything but. And it was a great coaching job. If it wasn't for a couple other coaches, I tell you what, I would put his name at the top of the list for Coach of the Year. I mean, he took a team that they traded their best player away, got rid of Bobby Wagner, and put Geno Smith at quarterback. And here we go. They left the first half in I think they were in the lead, if I'm not mistaken, or just a point back yesterday. So good job by Pete Carroll and his crew getting that team to where they were. And listen, a couple draft picks, and maybe they'll challenge for the division next year.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think as long as keep the core there. I mean, the receiving core is fantastic. It's one of the best in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah,
with Metcalf and Lockett, and Metcalf obviously. I mean, they said in the beginning of the game that he's going to be double teamed and look for Lockett a little bit more, but it was the opposite.
Yeah,
which was kind of crazy.
I thought so too, and I also thought I also thought, with Walker and that receiving core and a healthy Geno Smith, and if he plays like this next year, that offensively, I think they're a team that can compete. They have a ways to go on defense.
I agree. I mean, they need to fill some gaps there.
Yeah.
Purdy got a lot of time when he needed to, and they ran all over him too, especially outside with McCaffrey. I think you saw a lack of speed on the edges, a lack of discipline on the edges too. Is what I saw. Now
you brought up Purdy, and I'm glad that's a good segue to that team. I can't figure it out. He makes great throws to guys who are wide open. And that's one thing I saw yesterday. But anytime a guy's covered or he gets a little pressure, he tends to roll to his left and try to throw off his back foot. So I think with a team that can flush him out of the pocket, get pressure up the middle, and force him to throw quicker is the way to get to him. Now, again, they didn't do a lot of that yesterday. He had time to set and throw, but every guy he hit to me that I can think of, most of them were wide open or moving away from a defender. Very rare did he throw into traffic. Now, again, that may be a smart quarterback. I still don't know what to make of this guy, John. Do you have a read on Brock Purdy so far?
I'll tell you what, Tommy. For a young kid, I think he's very poised. I mean, he's going through his progressions. But like you said right there, I haven't seen a lot of pressure on him, especially yesterday. And I think some of the defenses, I would play a little more press on these guys. I mean, you got Deebo Samuel as your speed guy, so you need to pressure and get up on Ayuk, and really make him make the reads and make the quick decisions that he's going to have to make against a team like the Eagles, where you got that good defensive line able to pressure up front. I think it remains to be seen. I mean, to win your first playoff game though, and being drafted that deep in the draft, I think it says a lot about the kid. A lot of poise, but he has a great team around him. Excellent coaching job this year.
Yeah,
when you have that defense and those kinds of weapons, he's set up for success.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it's an interesting for them next year. I mean, I think all thoughts were that Trey Lance was going to be their number one guy. Now you got Purdy. Obviously, I guess Garoppolo is not in their plans. I don't know if he had a 2-year deal or a 1-year deal, but obviously, I can't imagine he'll be back either way, whether he's a free agent. I'm sure he'll be a hot commodity. I'm not the biggest Garoppolo fan like Jeff is, but I'm sure won't be either via trade or free agency. He'll be gone. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm going to guess it's going to depend on Purdy and the rest of his playoffs. But I think even at this point, even if his next game is a failure and they've blown out, I think he has to go into camp at least with number 1A to Trey Lance's 1B.
Yeah, hasn't this been a roller coaster for this team at the quarterback position? I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this. With you think that Garoppolo's your guy who gets you into the playoffs. You lose late against the Rams. He comes in and then all of a sudden he's not on your map. And Lance comes in, gets injured. Garoppolo's back, gets him rolling, and then he goes down. And for a guy like Purdy to step in like this.
Yeah,
that's huge for the Niners. If they could keep that offensive core together, I think I could see this team being competitive for the next 3 or 4 years. No problem.
Yeah, I mean, listen, both sides of the ball. That's a tough team. A little bit of a surprise for me this year. I thought they'd be good. I didn't know they'd be this good, and I think it was the quarterback play I really kind of thought was suspect. And of course, you make a midseason trade for a Christian McCaffrey. That changed, but again, here's a guy who needs to stay healthy.
Right.
So that's for them, it's a good thing. I mean, he seems to be healthy right now. He played great yesterday. He's a tough, and then behind him is Elijah Mitchell. I mean, there's that's a pretty good team that you're right should be formidable for the next 3 or 4 years. It's hard to keep teams beyond that with the salary cap, but yeah, I mean that's a team that. You could be the Rams have to pay Matthew Stafford $62 million this year.
Right, it's crazy. And if you look at that team and you're a defensive coordinator, who do you set up to stop? I think that's where you have one of the best tight ends in the league in Kittle. So he has a nice check down there. McCaffrey is another check down.
Yeah,
the guy has so many things that he brings to the table. Elijah Mitchell, who I thought was, until he got injured, one of the the higher end backs in the league.
Yeah.
That was on the rise. So it's just Deebo, Ayuk. I mean, it's a lot of weapons.
Yeah, I mean, the only way the way to beat a team like that is you got to beat him with your front four. You can't blitz him because he's going to check down quick to one of those guys, like you said. So the way to beat that team is the front four has got to win all day and put pressure on the quarterback. And if you do that, then it forces you to take one of those weapons off the field. And what I mean by that, it makes you have extra blockers in there. So, then McCaffrey becomes, stationary, or you're bringing the guy in to replace him, or Kittle stepping inside, or you're replacing him, or Debo's coming off the field and you put an extra blocker in. So that's the way you beat them. Because if you blitz them, boy, oh boy, you're in man up, and all you need is one guy to miss, and it's big plays. So they're a tough team. They're going to be a tough out in this playoff, and I think everybody would have picked them as their not lock, but their big pick to get out of the NFC into the Super Bowl. I mean, again, Eagles. I thought the last couple of games, last 3 games, even with Jalen Hurts back against the Giants, they don't look like the same team from the first 14, 15 games, John.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I saw there, Tommy, was the lack of being able to run the football.
Mm-hmm.
That was something that they were able to do all season. And when you have, guys like Sanders and Jalen Hurts and all the things that he can do, that was one of the things that kind of, offset, what the defenses could strategize, to stop. And I didn't see that, like you said, the last few games. I mean, they looked like they were just trying to get to the finish line and kind of roll into it.
Yeah. So we're going to see. They're obviously off this week along with Kansas City, and I think on the AFC side we're destined for a neutral site game, which looks like I think Atlanta. So we'll get more to that. But let's get to the rest of the games. But before we do, I want to talk about the one thing I haven't heard many people mention is the new overtime rules are in effect, John, right now.
Right, it's crazy, Tommy. I mean, I guess we'll be able to see something, come up. I mean, I don't know how that's going to work out.
Well, everybody thinks it's solid, but let me run this scenario by you, John. So in the old rules, the first team got the ball and they scored a touchdown. The other team gets a chance. If they don't score a touchdown, the game ends, I guess. If the other team scores a field goal and the other team scores a touchdown, the game's over. So the game basically ends. Now, both teams are guaranteed a shot at the ball, right? Both teams get it regardless of touchdowns or field goals. So the first team, let's say it's Giants-Vikings. Giants come out, they score a touchdown. Okay? Vikings get the ball, they go down and score a touchdown. By the new rules, the next score wins. So now if you're the Vikings and the Giants score a field goal or a touchdown, the game ends. Now, is that fair? You just scored a touchdown in your drive. Now, I'm going to give you the argument of, hey, you have a chance to stop them on defense, and if you don't deserve to win. But I don't think it's made it any easier, and I think if that scenario pops up someplace, there's going to be at least, one big fan base that's going to be really pissed off that their team scored a touchdown and didn't get another shot at it.
Right. It's crazy. I mean, when they implement things like that, it's almost like, hey, let's do it. And it looks like a good thing on paper.
Yeah.
But, you put it in a playoff scenario, like you said today, then there's going to be a lot of problems there, I think.
Yeah, I almost think you got to play another quarter and just play one quarter. Right. And, you get as many possessions as possible. You have every opportunity to win the game because I just think that any other scenario is kind of unfair. I mean, if two teams score a touchdown and the next team scores and wins and the game's over, how's that really fair? And again, I'll make the argument: stop them on defense, and you don't have to worry about it. But it's a tough scenario. I don't think there's anybody who's going to come out of one of those games, and hopefully there won't be one. But if there comes out of somebody's not going to be happy with the rules.
I think they need to eliminate the tie altogether, and just go to, like you said, play the whole other quarter.
Yeah.
If you need to, and then whoever wins. I mean, that's really the only fair way to do it.
I think you play now. Again, if you play another quarter and it's still tied, what do you do? I mean, there's all sorts of scenarios you could go on, but I'd have to think at the fifth quarter, there's got to be somebody out there winning the game at that point. Otherwise, you got to keep playing. I mean, I don't know any other way to do it. Now, if you want to get into the last, if you play you're into the sixth quarter and you want to say, first team not to score or the first team to score, I guess at that point, what the hell? But yeah, I don't think the new rules are going to make a lot of people any happier anyway. If it was go that way, so it's going to be interesting, John. There's a lot of football left to be played this weekend. Let's start with the early game today. And first bit of news: DeMar Hamlin was, I believe, at Buffalo practice, hanging in the locker room, which is a great sign, and really great news for seems like a really good kid. And I'm sure it's going to be a bit of an inspiration for a team. I don't really think they need much inspiration today.
Yeah, I agree, Tommy. But anything that you could get that really boosts that team. I don't think Buffalo has actually played their best football in the last 4 or 5 weeks.
I don't think they played their best football all year, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly, you're right. It's just different things. I mean, and the main key, to this is the turnovers in the red zone. I mean, Josh Allen has made some throws that, they're head scratchers.
Yeah.
It's like he digressed. But I think, with them coming in today, with all the things that are surrounding this, and Miami with a third string quarterback, I just think that, unless Miami brings Bob Greasy and Larry Zonka and those guys back, and throws Dan Marino in for a while, and I can't see them winning this game.
Yeah, you'd have to play this game on Madden to have a chance
Right.
at Miami, because I just don't see it. Like you could make a case, I think, for almost any game other than this one to say so and so could beat so and so. There's a lot of good. I think the Tampa Dallas game should be a good matchup. The Giant Viking game theory should be a very good matchup game.
Right.
Even Ravens Bengals is a curious one for me because of the quarterback situation for the Ravens, but. You can make a game for almost any game. This one, I can't find a way between, you're down to third string Skylar Thompson, who's not elicited any thoughts of, Jeff Hostetler reappearing for the Giants, after Sims went down.
Right.
Mosick goes out. I mean, they're just, and listen, they got Waddle. You still got Hill, but the defense has not looked good the last few weeks. So I think this is a team that is going to get bounced. I would think this is a really blowout. If Buffalo doesn't blow them out, and this game is even remotely within 2 touchdowns, you're right. Buffalo will not have played their best game. This is a game coming off playoffs. Hamlin, bad Miami team. I mean, this has got to be a 35-7 game.
Yeah, the only way that I think Miami stays in this game if Buffalo makes a lot of key mistakes or if there's a significant injury. I mean, for them to be able to go, hand in hand with these guys and try to score with them, I think that's going to be tough. I think, Miami's ability to run the ball needs to be put in here. I mean, I think that's going to be one of the keys right there. If they're able to run the ball, able to make a play, kind of like what Seattle did yesterday, be able to hit that big play and stay ahead or run a kickoff or punt back, something like that. Yeah, I think Buffalo blows them out. I can't see any other way.
Yeah, to me, the more I thought about it, if I were Miami, I'm going to lean heavily on my best players. So I'm going to get Waddle and Hill the ball any way possible. Bubble screens, jet sweeps. The more times the ball's in those 2 guys' hands, the better.
Right.
And what you want to do is. Big strikes are great. You want to kind of get the crowd out of the game and all that. But what you don't want is Skylar Thompson, the game on his shoulders. And no offense to the guy, but I just haven't seen enough of anything he's done to say that I want to have him throwing the ball 40 or 50 times today. Not in that way. Not down the field. So to me, get the ball in the hands of the guys who are your playmakers, and hope for the best. Listen, you said it. Buffalo has not been great this year, especially defensively. What's up there, Lou? So I have to be honest with you. I'm trying to find a way, but to me, if I was the offensive coordinator for the Dolphins, it's get the ball in the hands of Hill and Waddle any way you can, and let them make plays. Otherwise, Buffalo gets on a roll and he gets hot. It's lights out. So this is the one game I think goes to be a blowout today. The other ones, I think, are close games. So what's your thoughts on it? We'll make our picks later, obviously, but what's your thought?
Yeah, I agree, Tommy. I mean, I think, like you said, and I was listening to, to the NFL channel on Sirius, and those guys even said, this is Miami has nothing to lose here. I mean, I would have Tyreek Hill returning punts, kickoffs, a lot of end arounds and things like that. Some of those, play calls that you're going to have to pull out of the playbook and use everything that you can to stay competitive here. And like I said, unless Buffalo comes out, turns the ball over, and looks really sloppy or a key injury, I can't see this being, competitive.
I would totally agree. Again, Sunday Audible here on the Super Wildcard weekend. John Marhefka, Tom Florio. Jeff's at work today, so we'll be doing this for the next half hour, just the 2 of us. And again, come back next weekend. We'll do it again for divisional play. So sit tight. We got lots to talk about. We got a couple more games, 3 more games to get to. and we'll run through them and turn you over to the other channels. So, John, next game up, 4:25 on Fox. The team we're both representing today, the New York Football Giants, traveling to Minnesota to take on the Minnesota Vikings. And, John, some people say a very underwhelming team. I thought it was 13-4, 14-3. It's escaping me at the moment. But, a team that a lot of people don't believe in. But a ton of weapons, and a team that won the division easily, should not be overlooked. And, I see a lot of people out there, experts, picking the Giants today.
Yeah, it's one of those things, Tommy. I mean, where you see, how the team finishes. I mean, and how strong they finish. I think the key to this is Minnesota's defense. I mean, they've been getting shredded all year. And you go back to the Green Bay game. I mean, they totally got dominated. I mean, in all phases. I didn't see anything, that stood out. They weren't able to run the ball. They totally shut down Justin Jefferson. I think if you get a guy like Justin Jefferson, I mean, you need to get that guy involved early and often, as much as you can, because if you take him out of the game, it kind of loses, you're losing your main weapon right there, but you're also losing, the chemistry and the drive. I mean, with the guys around him, so it makes it just that much harder. This is a tough game. I think these teams, coming in, I think this is a good matchup for what the Giants do. And really, I mean, couldn't they have gotten a better team to go against, for the Giants to go into Minnesota, especially with the defense, the way they're playing?
No, it's best matchup the Giants could have got. You're right.
Right. I could see the Giants doing what they like to do. I mean, get Saquon involved early. Daniel Jones also is something that's a little bit different for the for the Vikings in his ability to scramble and make plays with his legs, and I think that's something that's going to stand out today in this game.
Yeah, I listen, as a Giant fan, I'm biased, so I think the Giants have a real good chance. They have to play a good game. They can't play. They didn't play a great game the last time. Bellinger fumbles in the first play of the second quarter. That leads to a field goal and a 10-point lead, which the Giants erased and came back from. And then you had the block punt. You had the block punt later on. And again, that turned into points, which again, the Giants erased and came back from. But if you're the Giants today, John, you can't make mistakes like that. Nobody's going to play a totally clean game, but you got to be close. You can't make the big play that turns into points. You can't take points off the board for yourself in this game. And you're right. If you're the Giants, this game needs to be tied or within 3 points either way at halftime, and it's okay. The Giants, when they get in trouble, is when they let the other team get off early and get out. And when they get out too far, the Giants are not that team. So they got to keep it close. And if you get into the third and fourth quarter with this team, the Giants get better as the game goes on. And I like it. I like it, but so it's hard for me in this game because I can see it going either way. I can see the Giants keeping it close and winning it. I can see the Giants getting blown out. They have far inferior talent than the Vikings. There's a lot of talent on that Viking team on the offense. You got to stop Cook. You got to stop Jefferson. Cousins can creep up and give you and hurt you. That's a team that you have to worry about.
Right, I agree, Tom. And I think really there's two keys.
And the tight end is no joke.
Right, with Hawkinson now, I think one of the key things here for me all the time is when I see the Vikings play, especially in big games like this, is Kirk Cousins. What kind of game is he going to have? I mean, what Cousins are we going to see here today?
Yeah.
Is it going to be the guy that that looks sloppy in the pocket, doesn't go through his progressions? I mean, throws into triple coverage. Or are we going to see the guy that's well poised and, he has so many weapons. There's guys in that team. Adam Thielen, hasn't had a great season like he normally does.
Right.
But KJ Osborne is another good receiver. That a lot of people don't really speak of. I mean, we got Jefferson and Thielen on the side. We got Hawkinson, but Osborne is a guy that's he's a difference maker. He's one of those guys that makes key plays and key moments. He's going to be the guy that's not going to be. He's going to be drawing the single coverage today. So I look for him as well to play a big part in this game for the Vikings.
I agree. And then the other side of the ball for the Giants, I mean, if you're the Giants, you have to get the ball into your best player's hands, and you got to get Saquon to touch the ball. To me, 25 times. He's got to run, catch, whatever he's got to do. Saquon Barkley's got to be the guy who's your best player today. And if he is, and if he's the best player on the field today, the Giants win. He goes out there and runs for 120, catches 50 yards of passes, a touchdown mixed in there. He's the thing. But it's going to be also on Daniel Jones. He's going to have to play a great game from throwing the football. Again, nobody's expecting 300 yards like the last game. You don't want that if you're the Giants. You want him throwing, 200 yards, a couple of touchdowns, and making up some plays with his feet. And that's been the biggest thing for him, John, is not only running, but running when it matters and getting big first downs. I think it was a Colt game. He counted for 7 first downs on his own. And that's, you need that in a game. That's very frustrating for the defense. When you got everybody locked up and the quarterback runs for 15 yards or 12 yards, on 3rd and 8, it's demoralizing for a defense. You just, you throw your hands up in the air and it's easy when you play a Brady or, one of those kind of guys where it's, they're lucky if they run for 4 yards in the whole game. So I think that's the key for the Giants on offense is Barkley being the guy, the receivers catching the ball when they throw it to them, obviously, and then Daniel Jones being that guy to kind of stick the knife in their back a little bit and twist it.
I agree, Tom. And I'm sure Dave was going to make that part of his game plan. I mean, I would think that, with his experience and Josh Allen, and the way that team was structured, it like I said, there's always that piece, and I think the Giants have that piece. I mean, it's something that you have to stop, and it's that quarterback's ability to run the ball. Yeah. And if you get Barkley running and making a lot of plays and getting his hands on a lot, what do you do if you're the Vikings? I mean, you haven't been able to stop anybody. So you get these two guys rolling with a running game. That's the game the Giants want right there.
That's it. Keep the ball out of their hands. Make Jefferson a statue on the sideline. And again, defensively, like always, I mean, you need pressure up the middle. See, that's when, it's like anything else. Don't let the quarterback get off early. And if you can get to Cousins early and get him off his spot, and you can get, Barkley on a run, that's the prescription for the Giants. So we'll see. We'll make our picks in a bit, guys. Hang around a little bit longer. We got a couple more games to get to, and then we'll get to our picks. Let's see. Move on to the night game, John, on NBC. Bengals at home versus the Ravens. On paper, I can't see this being a very good game. I don't know officially who's quarterback. I know it's not Lamar Jackson for the Ravens, right. But John Harbaugh and the Ravens as a franchise have been very good in the playoffs, or better in the playoffs. Some first round knockouts to some good teams, but there's a Super Bowl in there somewhere. So I think Burrow and that crowd. First off, I think the snub for the playoffs, obviously, with not having to play not playing that last game or that's the second to last game, and their playoff positioning, and they got on fire. They started slow, they're on fire, and he's got all his weapons with Higgins and Mixon and Chase. I don't see this being a close game at the end. I think second half since he pulls away. So we'll make our picks, but I don't have a formula for me other than get the Burrow, which has been, teams have been able to do. I don't see a way for the Ravens to win this game going to their second or third string quarterback and the lack of production that they've had this year.
Yeah, I see the same thing, Tommy. I mean, huge lack of weapons. When you take Lamar Jackson out of the Ravens offense, I mean, that guy accounts for 80% of that offense at least. The only way that I could see them being competitive today is if Huntley makes some key throws, because I think Huntley's starting, as far as I heard.
Yeah,
I haven't heard any different.
So,
yeah. Their ability to run the ball, J.K. Dobbins. I mean, you could see that if they're able to run the ball and make this a slow paced, grinded out game against the Bengals. I mean, I can see that, at least staying competitive a little bit. But I just think that Cincinnati is other than the Niners, are the hottest team right now. That those guys are
Yeah.
They proved it last year. Their defense is playing well. There's just a ton of weapons right there. And Joe Burrow is really coming into his own. I mean, this guy's a star in this league. He's going to be for a long period of time. He has a team built around him offensively that has a ton of weapons. I think one of the things that they do need to do is be able to protect him. I think if he sustains any type of injury, or even if it's just something that doesn't knock him out of the game, but it curbs his ability to do what he does. I could see that being one of the keys. But I could see Cincinnati just running away with this in the second half.
Yeah, I do too. Hey, good morning, Johnny Collins. Taking another sitz bath, John. Watching us. I really have a hard time finding a way for the Ravens to win this game, but we'll see. I mean, I also think from a national standpoint, I don't feel a big tug for this game. So it's a night game. The Ravens sticking Huntley out there again. We'll watch it. We'll see how it goes. Third game, which is the Monday night game. Was there a Monday night game last year, John?
I don't think there was. I think everything was on Sunday.
Yeah, I was trying to come up with I was trying to look it up, and I didn't get a chance to officially finish that search this morning. But yeah, so obviously an interesting Monday night on ESPN and ABC. I know that beside Troy and what's his name, Troy and Joe Buck, you get the Manning cast. So I'll be watching this on the Manning cast. I'll be interested to see how that works for a playoff game. But you get an interesting matchup here. And, on paper, Tom Brady, the Dallas Cowboys, this is going to – I don't know about this game. I mean,
right.
The Bucs have been bad all year in a horrendous division. They squeaked into the playoffs. But I'll say this, Brady and Evans at least had a heartbeat the last week or two.
Yeah, thank God, because those guys won me a fantasy championship in the other league. So I was – come on, Evans. You got to do something. He didn't do anything all year, but –
yeah,
but really, it's the Buccaneers. Really, this entire season, it was almost one of those teams where you were hoping that a team like them and the Ravens with Huntley wouldn't be playing in a Super Bowl, because it's just, just two teams that just haven't really done much of anything. I mean, Brady looks worse than I've ever seen him. I mean, just bad throws, bad reads. They haven't run the ball like they want to.
No.
The weapons aren't stepping up. Guys weren't even getting open. I mean, if you look at watch a lot of the games, I mean,
I watch his games, and you're right. I'll blame a little bit on Brady, but I think a lot of it's the supporting cast. Fournette's not been the same.
Right.
They've not run the ball with the young guys, and Evans up until the last week or so I've never seen so many balls fly over his head. I'll say this. I'll say at 45 years old, Brady still can throw the ball with the best of them out there. I'm going to blame the supporting cast, and I'll just, but nothing would surprise me with Brady and that team today. I mean, they could come out there today and look like Super Bowl champs. It's just, that's the pedigree. And until you see differently, on the other side, John, their defense has not been good all year. Not the way they've been in the last few years, and so that's on Todd Bowles to fix that and get that ready. But they're coming in playing a team today that really, is a mirage of what their record is.
I agree, Tommy. I mean, we never know what Dallas team we're going to get from week to week. I mean, they just to go up and to Washington the way they did last week
with Sam Howell quarterbacking.
That was a bad effort on all sides. I mean, they couldn't do anything. They got nothing done on offense. You would think that the defense would make some plays too. I mean, that's a great talented defense right there.
Yeah, they're all hurting.
Underachieving.
Yeah,
right?
They're hurting. The defense has not been good the last 6 games, I'm going to say. And offensively, Dak's been terrible. I mean, he's led the league after missing 5 or 6 games. He led the league in interceptions. He's thrown a pick, I think, in 7 straight games. They were futile. I mean, with a decent running game, they're futile, but, they look like a dead team. Now, I'll tell you this. If they lose today after the last week's performance and the last few weeks' games, McCarthy's head's on the block. If they go out there today, tomorrow night, and they lose, and I don't even care. I'm not sure. It better be super competitive and a controversial ending, because short of that, I don't think he survives. Because the one thing Jones is gonna want at 80 years old and desperate for a Super Bowl run is somebody to come in and fix Dak. And right now, it doesn't look like McCarthy and those guys have the ability. They're paying the guy close to $50 million a year, whatever it is, 40-something million dollars a year. Right. And he's getting outplayed by Daniel Jones and all these Brock Purdy. They all look like better quarterbacks than Dak Prescott. And I've been raising my hand for years saying I think Dak's overrated. So I think this is a huge game. Obviously, listen, it's a playoff game, so it's always a huge game. But for McCarthy to continue, I think Dallas has to win, or at the very least put a great showing and have a controversial loss.
Right. I mean, if you look at this too, Tommy, I mean, what happens with McCarthy? Say they lose this game. I mean, you know how badly, Sean Payton and that conversation is, and what Sean Payton did and how well he would fit there.
Yeah.
And what they would do to get that guy. That's one thing at Jones. I mean, Jones, he doesn't play games. I mean, if you're not winning within the first couple of years, you're getting flipped. There's no doubt about that. And the way they've looked and the way Prescott has looked with the pick sixes, I mean, that's something that you can overcome interceptions like most of the time you don't, but Jacksonville overcame them last night. But if you throw a pick six, that was a mess last night, the first half.
Yeah.
Like nothing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But the pick sixes and Dallas kind of seems to panic when that stuff happens. It doesn't seem like Prescott, has the composure, in certain instances. I think they need to be able to run the ball. You got probably, top 3 best running back tandems in this league here. These guys need to run the ball, set that precedent, bring the defense up to stop the run, open it up for the receivers. CD Lamb needs to have a good game today, and I could see that. I think this is going to be a good game. I think it's going to be a better game than we think.
I'm not disagreeing with you, because I think you have one team that's desperate, and I think you have another team that's capable in the Buccaneers. I just think if you're McCarthy, if you're Jones and you don't play well tomorrow night and you get beat, I think you almost have to go to a Sean Payton. If you're Jones, he's 80 years old. The guy's desperate. I think you got to turn it open. The problem is Sean Payton's one is the money, which I don't think bothers Jones. I think it's the control. I think Sean Payton wants total control. And for me, as a Giant fan, I hope Jerry Jones lives forever and is the GM of the Dallas Cowboys. Because keep doing it, baby. Keep doing what you've been doing for 30 years, because it's all good for me. So, but it's going to be an interesting off season in Dallas land. I think short of a real run here, I think there's a real good chance Sean Payton is the Dallas Cowboys coach next year. I
agree. I mean, Jerry Jones is the Al Davis of this era. I mean, the guy doesn't want to give up the control.
Yeah.
And I think he's really, really, playing with this team. I mean, I think his team is there. He's got a lot of good players, tons of talent.
Yeah.
He's got a quarterback that has all the potential, but just needs the fix. I mean, there's a few things that he needs to fix.
Yeah.
And Jones playing around like you said, doesn't want to give up any control.
Yeah. I would totally agree on that. So, again, it's on the Audible here for the Super Wildcard Weekend. Thanks for tuning in. John Mahevka, Tom Florio. Jeff's out today with a case of work. He's got to go to work, so he's not able to. I wasn't able to do the show yesterday. Jeff would have probably might have been involved. But we'll be back next weekend. Hopefully we'll do it Saturday so that Jeff's involved, and we'll bring you another weekend on the divisional round games. But let's get through the rest of today's games by making our picks. Well, Jeff and I did our picks on Thursday, so I'm going to make my picks here today, but I'm going to get John's picks on today's games, and then we'll wrap this one up. And again, of course, we'll be back next weekend to do it all over again. So, John, let's run it from the beginning. We both kind of made our half choices along the way, but let's make it official for everybody out there and give our complete take on the game. So 13.5-point favorites are the Buffalo Bills at home, 1:00 start, which I thought was odd, to me. That really should have been one of the premier games, except it's not a premier game because of the Dolphins and the way they're playing. I don't think it's enough points. I will be shocked if this game is not a huge blowout. I'm taking the Bills, who will probably have Damar Hamlin crossing the sideline or onto the field. Can't imagine that he won't be making an appearance at the game itself. We'll be fired up against a really undermanned Dolphin team, led by Skylar Thompson and somebody playing running back. I'll take the Bills, giving 25 today.
Yeah, I agree, Tommy. I think 13. I think you got to lay your money on that. Now, I would have loved to have seen this game if Tua was playing. Miami had everybody healthy. I thought they looked good, especially early in the season. I think it would be competitive then. I just bringing a rookie quarterback in here who's only had one start against this team with everything to play for. I just think it's crazy. I'm going with Buffalo plus the 13, or minus the 13.
Thanks, John. I don't have a cough button, John. Sorry, I don't have a cough button on the Hard Rocket Sports Sunday Audible set. So it is what it is. The interesting about Tua, John, is if you're Miami, can you really go into the season next year with him as your starting quarterback? I mean, with all the injuries, the head concerns, and to be honest with you, the poor play. It's really been poor play for Tua for a good part of the second half of the season. I think if you're Miami and the way you're built with Hill and Waddle and that team, I think you need to go get a veteran quarterback. I don't think you're going to, there's always been all sorts of rumors of luring Brady across town. There's been also, let's just say downstate. There's been all sorts of rumors of Rodgers. I've heard multiple names mentioned going at it. But if you're Miami, can you really go into next season with Tua as your quarterback?
I don't think so, Tommy. I mean, you've seen flashes of this guy, playing really well and making the plays but they put a lot into him too. I mean, they really did. They basically came out and said, "Hey, look, this is our guy. We're going to stand behind him." But I just don't see it with all the injuries. He goes down again next year. And how big of a window do you have here with these guys? And that's the thing. That's the thing in the NFL.
3-4 years. Yep. If 3 or 4 years, look at Buffalo. We all love Buffalo last couple of years. I thought last year was the year. And this year, they're still a good team. They still can win it, but they're not as good this year. And every year gets a little different. You're changing guys with the salary cap. Guys leave for free agency. You lose a coach or two. I mean, they lost Dable. You could maybe see a little bit of difference without Dable. So, you don't have a big window. So, to me, if you're Miami, you're going to shore it up a little bit next year with a couple more draft picks and a couple free agents. But the biggest problem you're going to have, I think, is at the quarterback position. I don't think you can go into the season with Teddy Bridgewater, Tua, and Skylar Thompson. I think you're going to have to bring in somebody. And if I had it right, I guarantee they're going to make all full efforts to go bring Tom Brady across town for a year.
Right. Or be heavy in the car sweepstakes. I can see that happening as well.
Sure. Garoppolo, Carr. I think any of those guys is an upgrade over what you've seen this year. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's the Brady first, for the short term, draft a quarterback to play behind Brady next year. I don't know if you can keep Tua or keep him on the sideline for a year and let him get healthy and watch. I don't know if that's a good mix. But to me, that team needs an upgraded quarterback and a guy who can stay healthy. And obviously, when you get that many concussions, you get more and more susceptible to them. So if I'm Miami, I'm going for it next year. Think about it. You gotta think Buffalo's gonna take a little bit more of a step back. The Jets might be a better team next year with a better quarterback, might be. And New England is still rebuilding. You got to jump in soon because this division is going to be pretty good in another year or so.
I agree, Tommy. I mean, it all starts with quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you said, I mean, you saw a Jets team this year that, a fantastic defense.
Yeah.
And like Jeff said in the chat, and we were just discussing it in there, was, you have two guys that are Rookie of the Year candidates. You got the Defensive Rookie of the Year, potentially the Offensive Rookie of the Year, depending on how that plays out. And, a solid team. I mean, it's a good young team.
Yep.
They get a quarterback in there, then you bring a quarterback for the Jets, that's solid, like a Derek Carr, say.
Mm-hmm.
You got Josh Allen in that division. Mac Jones. I mean, Mac Jones. He's not one of those quarterbacks. He's kind of reminds me of kind of like a Bernie Kosar or somebody like that. That kind of just, he's a little bit better than a game manager, but the guy, they put a little bit more weapons around him. They'll be competitive too.
Yeah.
So you want to be able to keep pace and get a decent quarterback in there, because you got a guy with concussion problems that that it's going to happen again next year. It happened twice this year. It happened last year once too, I believe.
Yeah, I agree. And again, guys, we'll get to a lot of the offseason stuff in a few weeks. Maybe the week between the Super Bowl and the NFC AFC Championship weekend. We'll do it that weekend. We'll break down all the big stories, contracts, quarterback carousels, the whole bit. Who's looking for coaches when we do it that weekend. We're going to wrap this up with the last couple of games. We move on to the 425 game, which is probably the most interesting game for me of the day. Is Giants traveling to Minnesota. Again, I can see this game going a bunch of different ways, but I do see the Giants winning. I think this is a 27-23, 27-24 Giants victory. I think the Viking defense is not good. I don't think they have the ability to stop anybody. It's going to be about the Giant offense and how clean the game they play. No penalties or very few penalties and no turnovers. Barkley has a big day. Daniel Jones has his day. And the Giant receivers, James, Hodgins, the tight end Bellinger, they got to make catches and they got to make plays. They got to make a lot, but they got to make some. But I do not believe in the Vikings. Even with Jefferson and Thielen and Hawkinson and Dalvin Cook, I don't think there's enough there. And I think Wink Martindale is going to send the house. And it's going to be a lot of Kirk Cousins running for his life. And I think ultimately that will be the difference. The Giant defense versus the Giant defensive line versus the Minnesota offensive line will be won by the Giants. And the Giants will win this game 27-23, 27-24, and head over to they will be heading to Philly after that. So that's my pick, John.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Giants too, Tommy. I mean, I think the reason, that I'm taking it is the fact that the way I've seen Minnesota play, especially defensively, for the last, 2 months, giving up a lot of big plays, getting, their teams are running all over them. And what Green Bay did to them up in Green Bay is one of the turning points for me. I mean, Minnesota was my surprise team this year. I picked them to win the division in the beginning of this season.
You did.
I wanted to stick with them until I saw the way the defense has been playing. And you need to have a good defense, especially to make a deep run in the playoffs. And that's my opinion. I think the way the league's set up, you're seeing it with Frisco, you're seeing it with the Eagles. And I think the Giants defense, has enough, especially with like Thibodeau on the outside has been playing lights out.
Yeah.
The last couple games I've seen. If they can't protect Cousins and those guys are in the backfield the whole time, unless the Giants give up a big play or a couple big plays early where they have to play, come back. I just see the Giants running the ball, playing solid defense, and winning this game in a tight one. I'll say 27-24 game, 30-27, something like that.
Interesting. Johnny Collins, you're right. There's a lot of competition after this. The Giants will have a hard time going to Philly after this. They have not played well in Philly in a very long time. But we don't want to touch the money, get past this one. But you're right. This is going to be a tough weekend on the divisional weekend. Okay, John. So we're both on the same page so far. Game 3 of the day, probably the most interesting from a competition standpoint. I still like Cincy. I think they're playing great football. Burrow's at the top of his game right now. And I don't see any way possible the Ravens come out and win this game. I don't think it's a blowout, but I'll put this at like 27. Let's call it 30-13, 30-17 with a late score by the Ravens, keeping it semi-close. But I see the Bengals winning this easy.
Yeah, I think right now this is a high-powered Bengals team, but it's also an angry team too.
Yeah.
Not being able to have a shot at that, home field. They're losing the Super Bowl last year. I think these guys have really come together. I think that says a lot about the the coaching that's been done here and how solid this team is. Way too many weapons for the Ravens to counteract. I think even Joe Mixon gets involved today, which we haven't seen in a while. And that's one thing that if Cincinnati's able to run the football and go deep into the playoffs with a running game on top of this high-powered offense, their defense is good too. They've been playing really solid. I love Logan Wilson in the middle. I think that guy's is a monster linebacker, makes a ton of tackles. But I think Cincinnati runs away with it at the end. I could see the Ravens putting up maybe 14 points.
Yeah, I'm going
to say 31-14.
Okay, I'm with you. Okay, and we'll move on to the last game on Monday night. The Cowboys, who are favored, I believe that's 2.5 over the Bucks in Tampa. I'm a little surprised, but to me that should almost be a pick'em game at this point. Bucks are home. They're playing a little bit better. The Cowboys look like crap the last month, and especially Dak. I guess they're expecting Dallas to find a way to kind of get back to their midseason form, but I don't see it. I think this will be a close game. I believe that Dallas will be ahead till the fourth quarter, and Tom Brady will pull out some magic. And just kind of that's just been his magic the last few years, and I think he just wills them to win. And I think the Cowboys almost have that when's it going to go wrong mentality, and especially with their coach, who I don't think is a great coach. I'm going to take the Bucks in a very close game, 2017, 2013, 21-17, anything in that range. I'm taking the Bucks to pull out a win late.
Tommy, if there was a game where I'd toss a coin to say who I'm going to take, it's this one. Because I could see, there's faults with both teams, the way they've been playing. I'll tell you what, I think defensively Dallas is a better team. I think they have Van Der Esch coming back. I think Dallas finally gets it done and puts Brady to bed already. But I think it's going to be really close. I don't even know what to say the score is. I think you're going to see some field goals involved here early until somebody finally breaks out. It's going to come down to a big play or a defensive touchdown or something crazy like that. But I'm going to say 20-17 Dallas. Tony Pollard is going to be the key in this game. If they get Pollard running, I think that's going to make a huge difference.
Yeah, I would listen. I would agree if they were able to run the ball really well and Dak cuts back on the mistakes. I think you're 100% right. That's a recipe to win. And their defense is better than their defense is the best unit on the field if it's playing well. So that to me makes a big difference. But all right, we got our picks in for today for Super Wildcard Weekend, and we appreciate John. Last one. What's the one game that could be the biggest surprise?
That's a tough one, Tommy. Out of these three today, I would say, as crazy as this sounds, I think Miami in the beginning of this game is going to keep it tight.
Okay.
I think the reason is familiarity with the two teams. Divisional game. I think it's going to be low. I think Buffalo is one of those teams that takes a while to get on track, and then when they do, look out. So I just think that'll be the surprise in the beginning of this game. But as far as surprises, I think we're going to see some good competitive play today. When you have matchups within the divisions, I think that's what offsets a lot of things in these games.
Mm-hmm.
That brings a surprise, but I think that game will be close in the beginning. But that's it. That's a surprise, unfortunately.
Well, if you don't get to see the whole game and the whole beginning of the whole part of that game, I don't think you're going to be out of luck. I think the second two games and tomorrow night's game are going to be the best football for us of the weekend, but there's still a lot of football to be played. Enjoy it all. There aren't that many games left before we finish this up in a few weeks, so enjoy them all. But for us, that's it for this. That's it for this week. So for John Marhefker and myself, please enjoy today's games. I hope you have a good day and a great week. We'll see you back here on the Sunday Audible next weekend. Stay tuned for the specific day and time, and hopefully we'll be joined by our fuzziest guy on the show, the one and only Jeff Towinski. And Ken, Make sure you check out the Sunday Audible website. Make sure you go to hempwizard.net to buy our signature scent, the Sunday Audible, right? That's available, and it's gotten great reviews. So if you get a chance to buy a little bit of the Sunday Audible for your beard, help yourself, and make sure you support all the local businesses. And make sure you support the Remorons and Johnny Collins, who's also got the Johnny Collins band. So check them out on Facebook. Two great bands and a great set of guys, and John's the best. So, John, thanks for hanging in with us today, and everybody else who's popped in along the way. But for John Maravka and myself, have a great day, a great weekend, and a great week. We'll see you next weekend on the Sunday Audible. Johnny boy, great show.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening in.
All right. Take care, everybody. Let's end the broadcast.